So my name is Nima Fazeli. I oversee real estate and development for C3 and SBE. We have been in the lifestyle hospitality space as SBE and SBE hotels for over 25 years. We grew our platform globally by taking Morgan's Hotel Group private. We ended up selling our SBE hotels platform and starting and really going into the virtual kitchen, ghost kitchen space at the end of 2019. I know what you're thinking, time to go to Vegas. So the timing was incredible, and we're really excited about where we're going. We're full on in the full service, or the F&B space at the moment. So I'll just fly through a few slides here. We started with the Umami Burger brand at the end of, kind of in 2009, we took over that brand and kind of grew it pretty well. We noticed that the delivery kind of revenues were growing like 25% year over year in those last few years leading up to 2019. So we saw an opportunity to really capitalize on what we were doing in the ghost kitchen and virtual brand space. We've always been a brand creator, and one of the main things we've always looked to do is activate and unlock the value of real estate. So in our lobby hotels and lounges at the SBE hotels, the concept was the same. You know, the same lobby would be coffee and pastries in the morning, it would be sandwiches and a meeting in the afternoon, happy hour before dinner, and then in the evening or after dinner, it would turn into whatever it would turn into the wee hours of the night. So that concept was something we brought over and found an opportunity to really utilize our kitchens. So through social media, through different brand partnerships, which I'll go into, we were able to do that. And then obviously we're quickly growing both with our own tech as well as several of these delivery service providers. I think there's kind of three pillars to kind of the virtual kitchen space, right? You have the real estate piece, you have the brands, and you have the tech. We're very fortunate in that we've been able to capitalize on all three, and usually you find either a brand that doesn't have the resources for brick and mortar and creates, you know, what we call a virtual brand or a burner brand sometimes, where you just milk it for all it's worth for a month or 2 months and then, you know, move on to the next fried chicken or burger brand. You have the real estate play, which is your cloud kitchens and your kitchens united. And then you have the tech piece, which, you know, as you know, there's the DSPs and certain other aspects that I'll get into. What we're able to do is capitalize on all three, because we have the brick and mortar locations through both our Umami Burger brands, as well as partnerships through investors, for example, like Simon Properties, who led our Series A financing round, Brookfield, who led our Series B financing round, Westfield, who's a strategic partner for us, in addition to several others. There's the brands piece, which allows us to work with celebrity chefs that we've brought on and partnered with exclusively in order to kind of grow these brands and help establish something more of just a fly-by-night kind of, you know, Charlie's Fried Chicken feel, and then it's on to the next one, where we try and actually connect it with a brick and mortar presence in addition to a real brand. So here we have, you know, the Iron Chef Morimoto, which everyone's very familiar with, Michelin star chef Danny Garcia, Dario Cecchini from Netflix, Chef's Table, you know, greatest butcher in the world. Chef Shimi Aron, who's known as the Babka King. He's kind of just a pastry guru. Cindy Cruz of Cindy Lou's Cookies out of Miami, and Alvin Kalin, who's the burger king at the moment, no pun intended. He's just like all over YouTube and everything. He started Egg Slut and sold it, and now is just all in the burger world, and we're really excited to have him with us. So that, in addition to our culinary team that we have in-house, allows us to create brands with staying power, and brands that not only really resonate and provide an experiential kind of dynamic with the guests, but also connect to a brick and mortar, which we'll get into as well. So this is just, we have about 35-ish brands. This is kind of the highlights, and I'll just fly through them real quick. You know, Crispy Rice is in partnership with Chef Katsuya, which is also one of our full service brands from, you know, a while back from the SBE days. sushi bento boxes. We're doing Plant Nation, which is a very plant-forward and kind of a healthy bowl brand, greens, grains, that whole concept. Umami Burger, which we obviously just has been around for a while, but we just revamped it with Chef Alvin Kalin. Ella Mia is our coffee and bakery brand, which we're launching or relaunching with Chef Shimi Aron. Sam's Crispy Chicken, we launched just at the beginning of the pandemic, and has just taken off immensely. Chichi de Carne is Dario Cecchini's brand. Kumi is another sushi brand we have, Pan-Asian, and then Morimoto's obviously Pan-Asian brand. La Gente's our taco brand. Sum Sum is a Mediterranean brand, which is an interesting one because while we love to create brands, sometimes we will JV with partners in certain markets or kind of on platform wide, and that'll allow us to forego a little bit of the R&D process. So these guys, we were trying to create a Mediterranean brand, and we realized that there was a Mediterranean spot just down the street that we were ordering from 3 times a week. So we said, hey, why don't we go talk to them? And we talked to them and said, why don't you guys keep your 4 or 5 stores that you have, plug into our platform. We'll trade you IP for platform and growth. And it's been a really great kind of partnership so far. This is a full-service restaurant we did with Danny Garcia in New York at our Citizens Food Hall we just opened across from Hudson Yards, which I'll discuss in a bit. El Pollo Verde is Danny Garcia's kind of QSR brand, premium QSR like we like to call it, and then Cindy Lou's Cookies. So these allow us to kind of really establish something that resonates with the customer. And in addition to that, because we have our own in-house culinary and our own in-house kind of procurement supply chain team, we're able to cross-utilize ingredients and cross-utilize labor across certain brands. So for example, and I know that was a lot of brands, but Crispy Rice and Kumi, they overlap SKUs about 95%. So you're able to create 2 very separate brands for the customer, but on the back of house, A, the preparation, because we have, certain proprietary supply chain products, and B, just the ingredients that are there are basically, the same. Let's save a couple other ones. So that, or Umami Burger and Sam's Crispy Chicken, 90 to 95% overlap in product SKUs. So that allows us to really kind of leverage, especially these days with all the supply chain and labor conversations that I'll save you that we all know already. That allows us to try and not remove the risk, but at least mitigate the risk as much as we can by being able to, create these recipes in the easiest way possible with the least amount of procurement risk possible as well. Then the third piece is the tech piece, and we've created our own app called Go by Citizens. And this is essentially like a virtual food hall. So if 2 of you are working late and one of you wants a burger and one of you wants sushi, you usually have to either convince the other person to get what you want or place 2 separate orders, right? What we're able to do here, because we control the brands, we control the real estate, and we control the tech, is give you the option to you can get a burger, you can get sushi, you can get tacos, and that all gets aggregated in one order and delivered with 1 delivery fee and 1 touch point. This is done with, in most markets, DoorDash is our kind of primary partner at the moment, and this allows us to kind of create an agreement that allows us to bring down the DSP fees, which we all know are through the roof, and then we're able to pass those savings on to the guest and kind of create this virtual food hall, so to speak, which isn't really available by anyone else in terms of how you're able to do this. This kind of just walks you through what the process is. It's all access to our own brands coming out of the same kitchen. And then these are kind of able to be showcased, a lot of these brands, through what we call our Citizens Culinary Markets. And these are currently under development all over the country and a couple internationally. We just opened 45,000 square foot food hall in New York, like I spoke about briefly, across from Hudson Yards at 33rd and 10th. It's 45,000 square feet, 12 QSR brands, 3 full service, 5,000 square foot commissary kitchen in partnership with Brookfield, who's, as I said, one of our investors and partners. We're doing 25,000 square feet currently in Miami at the Brightline station. Phase 1 is open, phase 2 is under development, opening 25,000 square feet in Chicago, 15,000 square feet in Seattle, at the Amazon headquarters in the building where Jeff Bezos sits, 25,000 square foot Citizens in Atlanta at the Phipps Plaza across from where the Nobu Hotel is being built. We're doing 17,000 square feet at the Century City Westfield right on Santa Monica Boulevard. And then a couple more that are in the works, both in the US as well as globally. Now this is kind of what we refer to as our like Apple and Tesla stores. There are showcases where you can go and touch and feel the brand, kind of immerse yourself in the whole experience. Then we have the other kind of one-off locations in Simon Properties, Brookfield office buildings, and Westfield retail locations all around the country. So that allows us to really kind of create an experiential play with these brands. And then, you soon are able to really leverage this idea of virtual kitchens and virtual brands and ghost kitchens by connecting it to the brick and mortar. And I think that's something very unique that sometimes is lost in this market, and sometimes in the media we're somewhat improperly characterized as a ghost kitchen brand. We're not a ghost, we're a front of house hospitality brand first and foremost. We were able to leverage our kitchens, turn them into ghost kitchens by creating all these additional brands and really leveraging that in order to create a lot of incremental revenue with a minimal CapEx expenditure in the back of house, because the equipment's there, the ingredients, we're able to come up with recipes where you can cross-utilize those in terms of labor and ingredients, and we're able to kind of create something that we hope is pretty special and unique. Another aspect of our brand creation is this creator court, which we work with YouTube personalities that honestly I've never heard of, but have like 25 million followers. And like my sister-in-law who's 22 is like going crazy for these guys. But we're creating brands, but it's focused, you know what I mean? It may be for a short amount of time, like an LTO, limited time type of deal, but it's very focused. There's a full marketing campaign behind it, and it's very, very successful in how we kind of push forward. So that being said, I mean, when you pull together this kind of idea that I've been talking about, there's the distribution piece, there's the technology piece. In addition, on the distribution piece, like I talked about, Simon, Westfield, and Brookfield, we've signed a deal with Tri-Artisan Capital Advisors that owns P.F. Chang's, Hooters, and TGI Fridays. So for example, we've helped TGI Fridays further activate their kitchens and leverage that space. Because if you think about it, TGI Fridays, it's really busy from about 12 to 1:30 and maybe 7 to 8:30. Now a lot of that other time is dead time, or less busy. So what we're able to do is give them one or two of our brands, and they're able to license our brands and activate their kitchens over a longer period of time. Because they have the equipment, they have fully built out kitchens, they're huge, their lines are perfect for what we do, so they're able to kind of leverage that. Reef is another group that we have some licensing deals with. So by doing this, or Chowley is another one, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, but that's another one that has access to kind of kitchens all over the country. They send the KDS screen, they send the all the material and information to license. We go out and train, and then you're able to basically turn any kitchen in the country into a ghost kitchen. So that is something that we're able to do with the right partners. We'll do licensing deals if they're tried and true operators. We don't want to just do it to anyone, but if we're able to and it makes sense, we're super happy to do that. TGI Fridays, we're super excited about. Hooters, we're doing something very exciting with them on the burger side. So this is something that is very interesting, because it's this idea of, if you go all the way down to the base of it, it's just unlocking the value of real estate, right? So just taking this space that's underutilized in this situation, a kitchen, and just figuring out a way to activate it over a longer period of time with the minimal CapEx expenditure and as much incremental revenue as you can get. On the technology side, we work with Lunchbox. Wavemaker Labs is a group out of Pasadena, California. Bunch of robotics guys, super smart. Their chief technology officer is the guy that invented Flippy the robot flipper. I think that's what it's called. I don't know if you guys have seen that. We're working with them, and we're in kind of the phase one of our first concept to create a kind of vending machine that creates some Morimoto bowls. So you go up to this vending machine, you kind of scan your app or put in your order, and this bowl comes down, and it's created all the way along. And the prototype is under construction. It's going to be a game changer in the tech space. So we're really excited about that. Coco is the delivery robots. that are already we're working with in Los Angeles and certain other markets. We're very excited about them. They're one of the only ones that are actually controlled by humans, drone operators in Mexico City. So that's exciting. And then Toast and Craftable, I'm sure you guys are already pretty familiar with. So again, the idea here is to kind of take those three parts, real estate, brands, and tech, and figure out how you can leverage them together in the best way possible. Because in a normal scenario, if you're creating your own brand and you have to go to a Cloud Kitchens or a Kitchens United, by the time you get through COGS, which are getting crushed, labor, which is getting crushed, pay the delivery service company, and pay the Cloud Kitchens or Kitchens United landlord, you have a very, very thin margin to work off of, and it's a bit of a risky game. So this is just our intent to try and mitigate that risk as much as possible by bringing it all in-house, so we can A, have the data, which is huge these days, B, control and curate the entire experience from beginning to end, and C, be able to hopefully provide something really special that has some staying power. In addition to that, we've done some fun things with Rumble Boxing and ABC, The Bachelorette. We did a deal with Netflix for their Army of the Dead, because we are a brand creation company as well. We created a brand called Sin City Tacos, which was a brand in the show that came out called Army of the Dead. And we were able to create the brand in real life. So we created a brand called Sin City Tacos. So you're watching this show and you see Sin City Tacos on the show, and then you're eating Sin City Tacos with the branding. So we're really trying to take this to another level of making food and beverage very experiential. We did it for 25 years with SBE and lifestyle hospitality, et cetera. But our motto is kind of anyone should be able to experience this regardless of price point. And that's the idea here, was that anyone should be able to do something fun. This crispy rice sushi box is it's just a fun box. Like you open it and you're like, okay, this is cool. It's not just, marketing is a big thing for us. So we're very excited about it. A couple other things, Tinder, plenty of fish in the sea type of thing. Truff, which is awesome. The Wonder Years, we did a really cool retro deal on it. So we've done some exciting stuff. I'll kind of open it up to questions if there are any. Other than that, I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen after last night's shenanigans.
Anyone wants to ask a question? Yeah.
I can't be the only one that always wants to ask questions. All right, dude, this is super interesting. I'm a huge fan of what's going on. I think that this presentation has, obviously I'm more of the marketing guy, but this seems heavily, what's interesting is it's all social media driven. That's what I'm getting to, right? So at the beginning of the pandemic, I was helping a friend who's got a handful of restaurants, and we took one of his concepts that had a wood oven pizza place or whatever, and we created a virtual pizza company.
Mm-hmm.
Totally failed. It was really hard. The biggest problem I had with it was that people wanted to come to the actual place. And we were trying to make it super hip, and it's a virtual only brand. So my question is, do you create social media content as if you're an actual location, or are you, what's the strategy? Are you just relying on influencers and partnerships to create, just a virtual experience?
Well, that's a good question. It's about creating a connection, right? And you either need a brick and mortar location or some sort of influencer or social media experience. Ideally, it's a bit of both, social media and an experience. But if you get like Cindy Crawford, for example, or John Legend, then you need less of a brick and mortar experience. You know what I mean? To drive that. If you have just a general social media marketing campaign, you do need a brick and mortar experience. But our goal is always to create something they can touch and feel, and create it experientially, where you can get it at home, at the office, at the mall when you're walking, when you go visit your parents, at school. So it's to kind of create a fully experiential connection, where it's not just go to the restaurant and go back home. It's more about creating the experience for them.
So the mall, you're talking about like the future of tech with kiosks.
Kiosks and our Westfield, our Simon properties, creating, we want to be everywhere, you know what I mean? And we want you to have that connection in your mind where it's starting to say, oh, I saw these guys on social media and now I'm ordering them at Westfield. And then you're at work and you go online and you're like, oh, wow, cool, I can get them at the office. And then it becomes, we become your go-to ideally. And because we have a breadth of brands and a breadth of experiences and chefs and whatnot, it's not just one cuisine, it's several brands and several price points.
So you're trying to scale it across the country essentially, because if you're partnering with Netflix or ABC or something like that, and then those kitchens are just sprinkled across the country.
Yeah, those allow us to scale.
All right, who's next?
Oh, that's a challenge. Anyone? Oh, yeah.
Hey, good stuff. You mentioned earlier, and forgive me if I'm twisting the metrics, but about over 80% of some of the ingredients in some of these manufacturing facilities can be shared between brands. And my question is, it seems like a pretty big coincidence, right? So are some of these brands created simultaneously with the intent to share materials, or how does that work out?
Yeah, sometimes usually we'll have one brand. And then we'll say, okay, well, how can we leverage this to the best extent possible? So then we'll create another brand because we'll look at the ingredient pool. Like I said, we have an in-house culinary team, operations team. And then we'll say, okay, well, how can we leverage all these ingredients to the highest extent possible to create another brand? And then our marketing team comes in, creates a completely different front of house or guest-facing experience in terms of the branding and the packaging and the media campaign. And, it kind of goes in that direction. But it usually starts with one. One brand sets the base, and then we'll create off of another one.
I guess a follow-up question then is, in regards to hierarchy of importance of offerings, it looks like the marketing is as, if not more important than actual food itself. What would you say there?
I don't know about more important, but definitely as important. We're very much a branding company, and these days people are too smart, and there's too much technology out there, and the customer is always holding you accountable every step of the way. You mess up, there's a picture on Yelp, there's a picture on this thing. The one thing you may have messed up on all of a sudden becomes the only thing that you know how to, you know what I mean? So you gotta really create an experience for them as opposed to just, here's your food, have a nice day. Like those days are gone because there's too much tech and the internet is just too big to let anyone try and skate by these days.
Great.
It's interesting to see you talk so much about or invest so much in packaging, because I think, first order of business when everybody was launching delivery was, well, what can we do to have the product, keep and do what it's going to do? You are almost replacing the restaurant and the on-premise experience with the packaging. Is that just for certain launches and certain, like the Queen's viewing party, or is that all of your brands have elevated packaging?
No, the packaging is huge on what we do. Like we're very much like I said, it's all about the experience, right? So we're unlocking the value of real estate and leveraging brands in the back of house, and all that's great. But if the packaging wasn't there and it wasn't fun and it wasn't kind of inviting to you, I don't think we'd be able to do what we do, because the vehicle by which the food is delivered is just as important, in our opinion, as the food that's delivered. Obviously, if the food's bad, then the first time you have, okay, cool packaging, I don't want the food anymore. But if the experience isn't great, it's like going on a plane, right? You sit in the plane and everything's great, but if it's a dingy plane and it's not nice, and the flight attendant isn't nice to you, and the experience isn't great, you may not go back again. I mean, there's points and stuff. I won't get into that. But in general, you know what I mean? It's about the experience. So that's a huge piece of what we do is creating an experience and a vibe, and the influencers obviously play a part in it. But to your point, the Queens and the Bachelorette thing, that's just extra marketing on top of already elevated marketing.